So I've been set a challenge to raise some money for charity, but I'm not going to be running a marathon, I'm not going to be doing a sponsored swim. I'm going to try and raise the money by upcycling and making stuff. So I'm going to start with something that's cost me nothing, something that someone's giving away for free. I'm going to upcycle it, sell it on, use the money from that to get something else, upcycle that, sell that on, and so on and so forth. The series is going to run through until June, so between now and then, keep an eye out for these videos. Hopefully they'll be of inspiration to you, but also fingers crossed we can raise a decent amount for charity. So this is the first thing I'm going to be upcycling. I got this old-fashioned corner unit for free from Facebook Marketplace. You probably see plenty of these knocking around. It's certainly seen better days, but I think it's got potential. As it is right now, if I just did a typical upcycle by painting it, I don't think I would get that much for it. They typically go for around £30 to £40. So I've had a different idea. I'm thinking I'm going to remove the top. I'm going to put that to one side because I could always use it later in the challenge. But for now, I'm going to concentrate on the bottom. I think the bottom has got the most potential. It's got a really nice curved front to it and it's nice and plain. So it should look modern once it's done up. I think there's a lot of potential in it being turned into a kind of gaming station. You can keep a console on the top, store your games and accessories on the inside. I think that's going to be a winner. So the first job is going to be to remove the top. Now I have spotted on the inside there's some screws. So I'm hoping it's going to be as simple as undoing the screws and the top should lift off. They may have added glue as well, so if they have, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So I got all the screws out, but it's still not budging. So when in doubt, a little gentle persuasion. There it goes. The top surface now isn't great. You've got holes coming through where the screws was, you've got a mixture of plywood and chipboard, but when this is sanded back we can seal it either with a PVA glue or maybe even a wood filler, and when this is painted, hopefully you won't be able to tell. As you can imagine, this is going to take quite a bit of sanding, but I can make life easier for myself. I can remove the door completely just by taking it off its hinges. That'll give me a lot more space to work. I can also remove the shelf because that just sits in place. But before I do any of that, I really want to pay attention to the feet. At the minute, they've got a decorative cutting on. It might suit some taste, but it's not really going to fit with a modern gaming unit. So I'm going to cut that off straight. Them still a bit rough at the minute, but I think them a lot better looking than those decorative pieces. Now I can get these hinges removed and get the door off. You know something, now I've got the door taken off, I don't know if I prefer it like this actually. I can imagine it looking really nice with all your games laid out, your accessories. If I put a hole in for charging cables, you can charge your controllers nice and easily. I don't know, I'll reserve judgment. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself thinking about what to do with the door, so let's get this top sorted. I'm literally just going to sand it all nice and smooth and see where we're at. Right, I can feel we've got a lot of dips and that's where the glue has ripped out as I remove the top piece, so I need to fill these somehow. And of course I've got to deal with all these screw holes. To sort out the voids in the top, I'm going to be using a wood filler. I'm just going to mix it directly on the top because it's all going to get spread over anyway. I can leave this to dry now, and once it's dry I'll be able to sand it back smooth. Now I've got the top filled and sanded, I can turn my attention to the rest of it. I'm going to lightly sand this by hand, and I'm not too worried about taking it back down to bare wood. I just need to key the surface ready for some paint. Do you know something? I do think it looks better without the door on. I think it'll be a lot more interesting, and I think it'll be easier to sell that way. So what I'm going to do, when I've got all this brushed off and cleaned, I'm going to fill the holes where the hinges used to be. I'll get those sanded off and then we can get it painted. It's time to finally get some paint applied. So I'm going to start with a really rough brush and I'm going to start on the bottom. So I've flipped it upside down for now. I just want to get a coat of paint on, and then I'll even it out later with the roller. I think it's looking great as is now. I'm definitely glad I'm not putting the door back on. I think it's much more interesting this way, but we need to try and sell it more as a gaming unit. So I'm going to add some stencils down the edges. I'll cut them out myself, just some gaming symbols, and I'll spray it with a gloss grey to try and add some contrast, but it won't be too in your face that way. To make the stencils, I'm going to be using a cardboard envelope. I reckon we've all got these lying around, and I'll be cutting out the shapes with a sharp knife. I'll have to put this to one side so I can stick it back in the middle of the stencil. So I've masked off the stencils as best as I can, and I've got them all lined up. I'm going to be spraying it with a high gloss spray paint. It's still grey, so it shouldn't stand out too much, but it should offer a nice contrast. And to finish it off, I'll add a final stencil to the middle. I'm really pleased with how the stencils have turned out on this one, and just drilling that hole in the back, that'll enable you to put charging cables through nice and easy, so you could easily charge a couple of controllers up top. One last thing I'm going to add is a simple light. This will just stick to the top, and it's a push button, battery powered, so it's nice and easy. It's RGB as well, so you can control it with a remote control to set it to any colour you like. And that's the piece finished. I think you'll agree it's quite a transformation, especially considering the original corner unit was completely free. It wasn't in a great state. Took the top off and turned it into a corner gaming unit instead. Fingers crossed it sells for a decent price, because this is going up for sale now. Whatever it sells for, I'll be able to use that money to get something else, upcycle that, sell that on, and so on, to try and raise as much money as we possibly can for charity. So keep an eye out for the next video in this series, because you'll find out how much this actually sells for and what the next piece I'll be upcycling is. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you click the subscribe button and click the little bell icon next to it. That way you'll get a notification as soon as you upload a new video. Thank you all for watching.